The Art of Never Getting Angry. 12 Secrets to Always Be in Calm. Stoicism. In today's fast-paced world, anger can feel like a natural reflex, whether it's a traffic jam, a challenging conversation at work, or an unexpected change in plans. We often find ourselves swept away by frustration and irritation. But what if you could stay calm no matter the situation? The good news is, you can. Modern Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that teaches us to control our reactions, offers powerful tools for mastering our emotions and finding peace amidst the chaos. The Stoics believed that while we can't control external events, we always have the power to control how we respond. In this video, we'll explore 12 Stoic secrets that will help you never get angry again, and instead, embrace an unshakable calm. These timeless lessons will guide you to shift your perspective, manage your reactions, and find serenity in the face of life's challenges. Ready to discover the secrets to emotional resilience and inner peace? Join me on this journey, and let's dive into the wisdom of Stoicism. Welcome to Stoic in Your Life. Before we begin, I hope you enjoy this video. If you're ready to learn how to control your emotions and stay calm in any situation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any videos. If you found this video helpful, leave a comment saying, "Ready to stay calm," so I know you're ready to apply these Stoic secrets in your life. If you didn't like it, leave a 0 comment so I can improve and bring you better content. Now let's dive into the Stoic secrets and how they can help you overcome anger and find inner peace. Number 1. Make calm your superpower. In today's fast-paced world where noise and stress are constant companions, learning to remain calm can feel like a superpower. But imagine for a moment that you could tap into this strength, that in the face of chaos, you remain composed. What would that look like for you? How would your life change if you could approach every challenge with a sense of inner peace? This is not only a skill, but a deeply transformative practice, especially in modern Stoicism, where calmness is viewed as a profound strength, not a weakness. The philosopher and Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, often reminded himself of this in his meditations. He believed that maintaining serenity amid turmoil allowed him to see the truth clearly and act wisely, instead of being swept away by the waves of emotion. And that, my friend, is what makes calmness your true superpower. It's not about ignoring your feelings, pushing them down, or pretending that you don't care when things go wrong. No, that would be a form of suppression, and that's not the Stoic way. Instead, it's about acknowledging your emotions, recognizing them for what they are, and then choosing not to let them control you. You see, when you react impulsively, you're giving up your power. You're allowing external circumstances to dictate how you feel. But when you pause, take a deep breath, and reflect before reacting, you regain control. It's in that pause that the magic happens. Let's say, for instance, you're driving home after a long, exhausting day. You've had meetings, deadlines, and maybe a little too much coffee. And then, out of nowhere, a car cuts you off in traffic. Your first instinct might be to honk your horn, shout, or simply fume with frustration. But here's where your power lies. In that split second, you have a choice. You can either react with anger, letting that moment ruin your evening, or you can take a deep breath and remind yourself that this driver's actions don't deserve to take away your peace. What happens when you choose calm? You stay in control of your emotions, and more importantly, you avoid adding unnecessary stress to your day. It's not about being passive or weak. It's about realizing that your true strength comes from your ability to remain calm, to decide how you'll respond rather than allowing the world to dictate it for you. Have you ever had an experience where you just let a situation roll off your back instead of letting it spiral into anger or frustration? How did that feel? Over time, when you practice this consistently, it becomes a habit, a second nature. Instead of reacting with anger, impatience, or stress, you start responding with clarity, wisdom, and grace. Life doesn't change, but your response to it does. Modern Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control everything that happens to us, but we do control how we respond. You can't always choose what happens at work, or with your friends, or in traffic, but you can choose how to approach those situations with calmness and composure. Think about the kind of person you want to be. Someone who is always at the mercy of their emotions, or someone who maintains inner peace despite external circumstances. By consistently choosing calmness, you build resilience and strength that not only improve your emotional health but also enhance your overall well-being. So the next time you're in a stressful situation, instead of reacting right away, I invite you to take a step back, breathe, and allow yourself the space to respond thoughtfully. Your calmness will become a beacon, not just for you but for those around you too. Remember, serenity is the true power that can transform your world. Marcus Aurelius himself said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. So, what power will you choose today? Your emotions or your peace? Number 2, find the silver lining. Life often presents us with challenges that can feel overwhelming, whether they are setbacks at work, personal losses, or unforeseen events. These obstacles can seem insurmountable, but the Stoic philosophy teaches us that adversity is not something to avoid, but rather an opportunity for growth. Just as diamonds are formed under immense pressure, our greatest lessons come from life's toughest moments. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that adversity is not the enemy. It is the very force that can push us toward our fullest potential. The key is learning to find the silver lining in any situation, no matter how difficult. For example, if you've planned a weekend getaway and your flight gets canceled due to bad weather, it might initially feel like a major inconvenience. It's easy to become frustrated and angry, but by adopting a Stoic mindset, you can shift your perspective. Instead of focusing on the disruption, you could choose to see the situation differently. You might use the extra time to relax, catch up on a book, or explore the city you find yourself in. This simple reframing of the situation allows you to protect your peace and make the most of what initially seems like a frustrating experience. This Stoic practice isn't about ignoring life's difficulties, but rather about responding to them with curiosity and openness. It's about seeing challenges as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. Stoics understood that it's not the events themselves that cause distress, but how we interpret them. Our emotional responses are a result of our perceptions. By focusing not on what's going wrong, but on what could go right or what we can learn, we take back control of our peace. This mindset shift helps us turn frustration into fuel for growth. Over time, as you practice this, it becomes easier to view the world through a resilient lens, where challenges no longer feel like burdens but stepping stones toward personal development. Finding the silver lining is more than just a mental exercise. It's a daily practice that gradually rewires your brain to focus on opportunities. This is one of the Stoic secrets that allows you to maintain calm even in unpredictable situations. Each challenge faced with this mindset strengthens your emotional resilience, creating a buffer against anger and frustration. You learn to stand firm, no longer swept away by misfortune, because you recognize that you have the power to choose how to respond. It's in these moments of adversity that your true strength shines through. The next time life throws a curveball, remember that it's not the event itself that matters, but how you engage with it. By consistently seeking the silver lining, you cultivate a sense of calm no matter what challenges you face. As you continue to apply this Stoic approach, you'll notice a shift in your perspective. What once angered or upset you will no longer hold the same power over your emotions. Peace, you'll realize, is not about avoiding conflict but mastering your response to it. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This choice, The ability to shift your perspective is the key to staying grounded and at peace in the face of life's greatest challenges. Number 3. Own your emotions. One of the core tenets of modern Stoicism is the idea that we are the ultimate stewards of our emotions, a concept that empowers us to take full control of how we respond to the world around us. While external events are often beyond our influence, our emotional reactions to them are always within our grasp. By truly owning our emotions, we release ourselves from the grip of external circumstances and the belief that others have the power to determine our feelings. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters." This resonates deeply in modern life, where so many of us feel that the pressures and frustrations of work, family, or society dictate our moods. But in reality, no one can make you angry or upset without your consent. The emotional responses we experience are not reactions to the actions of others. They stem from our own thoughts, beliefs, and interpretations of what occurs around us. When we take responsibility for our emotions, we shift from a mindset of victimhood to one of agency. Instead of seeing ourselves as powerless or at the mercy of life's circumstances, we recognize that our emotional reactions are a product of our choices. This doesn't mean our feelings aren't valid or real. It simply means we have the ability to manage them more consciously. Just as a skillful sailor navigates a stormy sea, we too can navigate the storm of emotions by becoming self-aware and mindful of when anger, frustration, or other intense feelings begin to rise. By pausing for a moment to assess our thoughts, we can decide how to respond rather than merely reacting impulsively. In doing so, we take control of the ship rather than being tossed by the waves. Take, for example, a situation many of us can relate to. A colleague criticizes your work in front of the team. The initial impulse might be to feel humiliated, defensive, or even angry. But if we pause and reflect on the situation through the lens of Stoicism, we understand that these emotions are not caused solely by the criticism. Rather, they are influenced by how we interpret the event. Our reaction stems not from the words spoken, but from our judgment about those words. If we can detach ourselves from that knee-jerk emotional response, we open the door to a more measured, calm reaction. We might choose to acknowledge the feedback with composure, ask for further clarification, or even see the criticism as an opportunity for growth. By owning the emotional reaction and consciously choosing our response, we retain control over our internal state and prevent unnecessary conflict. This practice of emotional ownership is not something that happens overnight. It requires consistent effort and self-awareness. But the more we practice it, the more it becomes second nature, and over time, it builds emotional resilience. Instead of being at the mercy of every trigger that comes our way, we start to cultivate a peaceful, empowered way of living. As you begin to master this concept, you'll notice how much more control you have over your emotional world, leading to a greater sense of calm and inner strength. In today's world, where distractions and external pressures are constant, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by emotions. But the teachings of modern Stoicism remind us that our peace of mind does not need to be compromised by what happens around us. You have the power to choose how to respond, and in doing so, you become less reactive and more deliberate in your actions. In the end, it's not the external world that dictates your happiness, it's the way you choose to engage with it. By owning your emotions, you gain the freedom to live life with a calm, steady mind, regardless of what challenges arise. To join our Stoic community, we'd love to hear from you. Comment, "I own my emotions" below if you believe in the power of taking control of your emotions and how you respond to life. Your participation helps us build a strong and positive community where everyone can grow and take ownership of themselves, not letting external factors dictate our feelings. Number 4, don't react immediately. One of the most powerful Stoic secrets to mastering your emotions is learning to not react immediately to life's challenges. I know when something happens that frustrates or angers you, the impulse is to lash out or respond instantly. But here's the key. Stoicism teaches us that in those heated moments, the best course of action is often to pause. By taking a step back, you gain a precious moment to reflect instead of letting raw emotion dictate your actions. Think about it. When you immediately react, you're often driven by anger or frustration, and these emotions cloud your judgment. But if you take just a few seconds to breathe and reflect before responding, you give yourself the chance to make a thoughtful decision, one that aligns with your values rather than being shaped by the heat of the moment. It's about choosing your response with intention, rather than letting your emotions choose for you. Seneca, a wise Stoic philosopher, talked about this idea of delaying your reaction. He believed that when you're angry, taking a pause before responding is the secret to not letting anger control your life. By stepping back and reflecting on why you're upset, you get clarity. You might find that the situation isn't as big as it first seemed, or that a calm response might be far more effective. You see, when we act in anger, it often leads to decisions we regret later. I'm sure you've experienced this, saying something in the heat of the moment and wishing you could take it back. Imagine, though, if you had taken a moment to breathe before responding. What would you have said instead? I bet it would have been something more measured, something that kept your peace intact. Here's a practical example. Someone might make a snide comment toward you, maybe in front of others. The natural response might be to snap back, right? But what if you took a deep breath and paused? Ask yourself, is responding in anger really going to change anything here? After a moment of reflection, you might realize that the comment isn't worth your time, and that letting it slide is the wiser choice. It's not always easy, but the more you practice pausing before reacting, the more natural it becomes. You'll find yourself handling even the most frustrating situations with calmness and poise as you gain control over your emotions. It's a skill that will not only help you avoid unnecessary conflicts, but will also preserve your peace of mind in all areas of life. In time, you'll see that the ability to stay calm and composed is one of the most powerful Stoic secrets for living a peaceful and fulfilling life. So, next time you feel that rush of irritation, remember, you don't have to react right away. Take a pause, reflect, and respond in a way that honors your inner calm. This practice will transform your relationships, your mindset, and your ability to handle life's challenges with grace. Number 5, accept imperfection. In life, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that everything should be perfect. Your work, relationships, and even your own behavior. But if you're constantly striving for perfection, you're setting yourself up for frustration and disappointment. Life is messy, unpredictable, and let's face it, imperfect. And that's okay. I want to invite you to consider something that might change the way you approach every challenge and setback. Accept imperfection. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who still have so much wisdom to offer in today's world, understood that trying to control everything is a futile effort. They taught that we cannot control everything around us, but we can control how we respond to it. The art of modern Stoicism is rooted in this very concept, the understanding that life's imperfections are not only inevitable, but part of what makes the journey rich and meaningful. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the challenges, mistakes, and flaws we encounter in life aren't roadblocks. They are the very things that help us grow. Imagine this. You're working on a creative project, pouring your heart into it. But when you step back and look at it, it's not quite what you had envisioned. The colors aren't the same. The design feels slightly off, maybe even the whole thing feels unfinished. Now you have two choices. You can get angry, frustrated, and disappointed, beating yourself up over what didn't go as planned. Or you can choose to see it differently. What if those imperfections, those things that didn't go according to plan, are actually adding something special to your work? Could it be that the uniqueness of what you've created comes from these very flaws? By embracing imperfection, you let go of the unnecessary weight of unrealistic expectations. You free yourself from the constant need for everything to be flawless. And let me tell you, when you stop trying to make everything perfect, you will feel lighter, more at peace. You might even find yourself enjoying the journey more than the destination. The Stoics believed that true growth comes from accepting challenges, flaws, and mistakes as natural parts of the human experience. They didn't fight against imperfection. Instead, they used it as an opportunity to learn, evolve, and become wiser. It's not always easy to let go of our desire for perfection, but remember, it's that very desire that often leads us into frustration and anger. How many times have you found yourself upset because things didn't go according to your plan? What would it feel like to accept that not everything is within your control, and that's okay? Life is full of imperfections, and when you learn to work with them instead of fighting against them, you begin to realize that these imperfections often lead to the most beautiful moments of growth. The key to staying calm in these moments is acceptance. The acceptance that things will not always be perfect and that it's okay. By practicing modern Stoicism, you'll find that your capacity to stay calm and centered grows, not because you've eliminated imperfection, but because you've embraced it. It's a shift in perspective. Instead of demanding perfection from the world, you start to see the beauty in life's natural chaos. In this way, you become more resilient, more at peace with yourself, and better equipped to navigate the ups and downs of life without getting overwhelmed by frustration. Think about this. What if every time something goes wrong, you could see it as an opportunity for growth rather than a failure? What would change for you if you accepted that imperfection isn't something to fight, but something to welcome? As you move forward, consider how letting go of the need for perfection can help you cultivate calmness in even the most chaotic moments. And as you reflect on these questions, remember that this isn't about perfection either. It's about progress, about becoming the best version of yourself, even as you accept that this version will always be a work in progress. Number 6, let go of the blame game. Blaming others when things go wrong is a reaction many of us fall into, often without thinking. In the face of conflict, frustration, or setbacks, it feels almost automatic to point fingers, to find someone or something to hold responsible for our discomfort. Yet Stoicism teaches us that the blame game is not only futile but counterproductive. It drains our energy, clouds our judgment, and keeps us stuck in negativity. Instead of focusing on blame, Stoics urge us to examine our own reactions and perceptions, as this is where true growth and emotional freedom reside. The more we cling to blaming others, the more we give up our personal power and control over our lives. When we engage in blame, we allow external factors to dictate our emotional state, relinquishing our ability to maintain inner peace. This mindset fosters resentment, frustration, and a sense of helplessness, as we place our emotional well-being in the hands of things and people beyond our control. However, when we let go of blame and focus on how we can manage our own reactions, we regain that power. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control the actions of others, we always have the ability to control our responses. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." This simple yet profound wisdom unlocks the path to serenity, even in the most challenging moments. Take a moment to reflect on a recent situation in your life. Maybe you were working on a project with others, and one of your teammates missed a deadline or failed to meet expectations. It's easy to feel justified in blaming them for the delay or the stress that followed. However, if you pause and step back, you might realize that there were ways you could have communicated more clearly, set better expectations, or offered more support. In this case, the shift in perspective is not to ignore the issue, but to take ownership of your own role in it. Letting go of blame opens the door to solution-focused thinking. Rather than staying stuck in resentment, you can approach the situation with a mindset of growth, looking for ways to improve and move forward. This shift not only reduces negative emotions but empowers you to navigate difficulties with greater ease and clarity. By practicing this Stoic principle, you free yourself from the constant mental burden of searching for faults in others. The more you focus on blame, the more energy you waste on things you cannot change. But when you redirect your focus inward, you begin to cultivate greater self-awareness, emotional resilience, and control over your responses. This shift from a reactive mindset to a proactive one is key to living a more peaceful life. Instead of being at the mercy of external events, you create your own emotional stability, regardless of what's happening around you. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Letting go of the blame game is not just a Stoic practice. It's a transformative way to live a calmer, more focused life. In a world where frustrations, misunderstandings, and setbacks are inevitable, choosing to respond with wisdom and personal responsibility is your path to emotional freedom. When you stop blaming others and start focusing on how you can respond, you not only reduce stress but also build the resilience to face life's challenges with grace. These Stoic secrets, taking responsibility for your reactions, maintaining control over your emotional state, and releasing the need for blame, allow you to live more intentionally and peacefully. As you continue on your journey, remember this: the only true control we have is over how we respond. By mastering this principle, you move closer to the art of never getting angry and remaining calm, no matter the circumstances. Let me ask you, are you ready to stop blaming others and take control of your emotions? It's time to take action and reclaim your true power from within. Let your self-mastery guide you through any challenge. Like this video and comment below. True power comes from within. Watch until the end to absorb all the Stoic secrets of emotional mastery. Number 7. Forgive even when it hurts. Forgiveness is one of the most potent tools in the Stoic arsenal, and yet it's often the most challenging to practice. We've all experienced moments when someone wrongs us, and our first instinct is to feel hurt, betrayed, or angry. It's natural to want to hold on to that pain, to let the injustice linger as a way of expressing our hurt. But as the Stoic philosophers would advise, holding on to resentment doesn't help us. It only causes more suffering, keeping us trapped in the past. When we harbor anger, we let the wrongdoer control our emotional state, and by doing so, we allow them to have power over us long after the moment has passed. Modern Stoicism teaches that true forgiveness isn't about excusing the wrongs of others, but rather about freeing ourselves from the emotional weight that anger and resentment impose. It's not for them, but for us. We reclaim our peace when we forgive, not because the offender deserves it, but because we deserve to be free from the grip of bitterness. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, the best revenge is not to be like the one who hurt you. Forgiveness is an act of self-care, something that Stoics understand deeply. By releasing negative emotions, we clear our minds, preventing them from clouding our judgment and impeding our ability to live in the present moment. I know this may sound difficult, especially when the wrong feels personal or deeply unfair. But think of forgiveness as a practice, a conscious decision to take back control of your emotions. In choosing to forgive, you make a powerful statement to yourself. I will not let the actions of another person dictate my emotional state. Over time, this practice strengthens your inner peace and resilience. Stoics like Seneca understood that the emotional turmoil caused by holding grudges often takes a greater toll on us than the wrongs themselves, and in this, they reveal the deeper wisdom of forgiveness. By forgiving, we free ourselves from the emotional burden that the hurt carries. Perhaps you've experienced betrayal, or maybe a close friend has let you down. In those moments, it's easy to be consumed by anger. But what if, instead of clinging to that anger, you chose to forgive? You may not forget the incident, but forgiveness allows you to move forward without the weight of bitterness dragging you down. You can focus on the present, on the people who do care about you, and on the future that still holds so much potential. The past can only define you if you allow it. By choosing forgiveness, you take back control, and in doing so, you bring peace to your heart. This isn't a call to forget the lesson that betrayal or hurt has taught you. It's a call to recognize that the emotional freedom and peace you seek come from within. It's about taking the reins of your emotional world, rather than letting the actions of others dictate your happiness. Forgiveness is not about weakness or passive acceptance of injustice. It's about understanding that your peace is more important than the grudges you hold. As the Stoics remind us, we can't control the actions of others, but we can control how we respond. And in the modern world, where life often feels overwhelming, isn't it time we took back that control? By embracing the Stoic practice of forgiveness, you might find that the burden of resentment and anger becomes lighter, and with it your emotional freedom grows. Over time, forgiveness becomes easier and more natural. You'll find yourself less triggered by past hurts, more grounded in the present, and ultimately, more at peace with who you are. In modern Stoicism, this isn't just an idea, it's a practice that leads to greater emotional freedom, resilience, and tranquility. So when the next time comes when someone wrongs you, remember, forgiveness is for you. It's the most empowering act you can take, for in forgiving you return to your true nature, calm, composed, and rational. You may not forget the wrong, but you can choose not to let it control you. That, my friend, is true strength. Number 8. Let go of perfectionism. Let's talk about perfectionism, a trait that many of us carry. In today's fast-paced, achievement-oriented world, perfectionism is often seen as something to be admired, something we should all aspire to. We strive for it, and we even take pride in it. But when we look through the lens of Stoic philosophy, things begin to shift. The Stoics didn't view perfectionism the way modern society does. They saw it as a source of endless frustration and unnecessary suffering. Why? Because perfection is, by its very nature, unattainable. No matter how hard we try, there's always something more we could do, something more we could improve. The pursuit of perfection is a never-ending cycle that leaves us constantly dissatisfied. We feel like we're never quite good enough, whether it's with ourselves or others. The harder we push for flawless results, the more we criticize ourselves and the more we strip away the peace and contentment we could otherwise experience. So what if we stopped chasing perfection? What if we chose to embrace imperfection instead? Think about how freeing that would feel. What if you could look at yourself, your work, and your life, not as something that needs to be flawless, but as something that's always in progress? Stoicism teaches us a different approach. It invites us to shift our focus from striving for perfection to embracing progress. This is key. Life isn't about reaching some ideal version of yourself or attaining a perfect outcome. It's about growing, learning, and improving with every step. The Stoics understood that the process of becoming better is just as valuable, if not more so, than the outcome. When we make mistakes or things don't go according to plan, that's when the real growth happens. Instead of viewing mistakes as failures, the Stoics would tell you to see them as opportunities to learn. They'd remind you that setbacks are simply a part of the journey. Every misstep is an essential step toward your growth. You can stop punishing yourself for things not being perfect and instead start seeing those imperfections as lessons that will help you become better. Let's put this into a real-life scenario. Think back to the last time you worked hard on something, a project, a presentation, a relationship, or even a goal you set for yourself. Perhaps it didn't turn out the way you imagined. Maybe it was messy, maybe there were setbacks, or maybe it wasn't perfect. What was your reaction? Did you get frustrated or angry with yourself? That's a common response, but here's where Stoic wisdom can help. Instead of seeing the imperfection as a failure, what if you saw it as a stepping stone? Each small flaw or mistake can teach you something valuable. It's all part of the process. By shifting your mindset and accepting imperfections as a natural part of life, you can stop carrying the heavy burden of disappointment. You'll find joy in the journey, not just in the end result. The truth is, this principle of embracing imperfection can be applied to every area of life, whether it's work, relationships, or personal goals. The key isn't perfection, it's progress. I know that may sound simple, but when you let go of the relentless drive for perfection, you free yourself from the constant cycle of self-criticism and frustration. This is where peace starts to emerge. You'll begin to embrace life as it is, with all its flaws and uncertainties. And in doing so, you'll experience greater contentment. You'll realize that growth is messy. Life isn't always smooth or linear, and that's okay. In fact, it's the imperfections that make it all worth it. In the end, it's not the polished moments of perfection that bring fulfillment. It's the ongoing process of growth, learning, and accepting who we are, flaws and all, that leads to peace. Now think about it. If you're constantly striving for perfection, you're missing out on the richness of the process. You're missing the lessons, the growth, and the beauty that comes with the messiness of life. Perfection is impossible, and that's actually a good thing. If life were perfect, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't learn, and we wouldn't develop. So how can you apply this in your life right now? What imperfections can you start embracing as opportunities to grow? Think about the next time something doesn't go according to plan. Instead of getting frustrated, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Or, how can I grow from this experience? This simple shift in perspective can bring you peace, joy, and a greater sense of contentment as you let go of the need for perfection and embrace the beauty of imperfection. Number 9. Lower your expectations to raise your peace. One of the most powerful lessons I've learned from Stoicism is that lowering your expectations can actually raise your peace. In a world where everything seems to be in constant motion, where we're bombarded with expectations, both our own and those of others, it's easy to get caught in a cycle of frustration when things don't go as planned. We all know how it feels, don't we? You plan something perfectly, expecting it to unfold just as you envisioned, and then, out of nowhere, things go wrong. But what if, instead of holding on to these rigid expectations, you could release them? What if you stopped trying to control every little detail and instead embraced the unexpected? I'm sure you've noticed that life has a way of surprising us, often in ways we never anticipated. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that much of our suffering stems from the way we attach ourselves to specific outcomes. We get angry, upset, or disappointed when things don't unfold exactly as we imagined, because we set ourselves up with unrealistic expectations. But here's the powerful truth. When you lower your expectations, you free yourself from that cycle of frustration. You allow life to flow as it will, and in doing so, you create space for peace to grow. By releasing the need to control everything, you learn to appreciate life for what it is, not what you think it should be. Take a moment and think about a time when something didn't go as planned. Maybe it was a family gathering, a work project, or even just a dinner with friends. How often have you found yourself getting upset over something out of your control? Imagine this. You're hosting a family gathering, everything's been planned, but then things start falling apart. Some family members show up late, the weather isn't cooperating, and the food isn't quite what you envisioned. It's easy to get upset, right? But if you can lower your expectations, if you can release the pressure to make everything perfect, you might just find yourself focusing on what truly matters, the people around you. By shifting your mindset and focusing on enjoying the time you have rather than stressing over what went wrong, you begin to appreciate the beauty of the moment as it is. And you know what? That's where the real peace lies. It's not in perfection, it's in accepting what comes your way with grace. This concept is at the heart of modern Stoicism. Life is unpredictable, and trying to control every detail only sets you up for disappointment. Instead, by being flexible and adapting to what comes, you cultivate an inner peace that can't be shaken. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The same can be said for peace. It's not about having everything go your way, but about adjusting your expectations to what you can control and finding joy in whatever unfolds. When you release the grip of expectation, you stop setting yourself up for anger, frustration, and disappointment. Instead, you make room for acceptance, peace, and resilience. Think about it. What would it be like to live with fewer expectations? To wake up each day with the understanding that life is unpredictable, and that's okay? By lowering your expectations and embracing life as it is, you free yourself from the anger and disappointment that come when things don't go as planned. Instead of feeling angry that the world isn't aligning with your desires, you learn to find contentment and joy in the unexpected moments. This shift in mindset doesn't mean you stop striving for goals or giving your best. It simply means that you release the pressure to control every outcome. And in that release, you discover a deeper, more lasting peace. Isn't it time to embrace this way of living? To lower your expectations, free yourself from unnecessary stress, and find peace no matter what life throws your way? After all, as the Stoics remind us, we can't control the world around us, but we can always control our response. So, what will your response be today? Will you allow expectations to rule your emotions? Or will you choose to embrace life as it comes with calm and peace in your heart? If you've read this far, you've really embraced the idea that life doesn't always go according to plan. Leave a comment with the phrase "lower your expectations, increase your peace" to show your commitment to living with the unexpected and finding peace in every situation. There are only 3 lessons left, so stay tuned. I'm sure they'll surprise you. Number 10. Be your best friend, not your worst critic. How we speak to ourselves has a tremendous effect on our emotional and mental well-being. Yet, most of us have a tendency to be our own harshest critics, quick to berate ourselves when we make mistakes or fall short of expectations. This constant self-criticism breeds unnecessary stress and fuels feelings of inadequacy. The Stoics, however, offer a refreshing approach, encouraging us to treat ourselves with the same compassion and understanding we would show to a dear friend. The key to overcoming that inner critic is recognizing the vital importance of self-compassion. In the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." These words not only guide us to live with integrity, but they remind us that self-criticism, especially when unjust, is not only unkind, it's counterproductive. Self-criticism, if left unchecked, can be destructive. It clouds our judgment, paralyzes us with guilt, and stops us from seeing our true potential. The Stoics, like Seneca, taught that we should focus on progress, not perfection. They believed in being kind to ourselves, in understanding that mistakes are not marks of failure, but opportunities for growth. When we practice self-compassion, we create an internal environment that fosters improvement, instead of one that punishes us for imperfections. This shift in perspective is crucial for maintaining emotional peace, as it allows us to move forward without the burden of guilt or shame hanging over our heads. How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, Epictetus wisely said, reinforcing the importance of turning inward to cultivate peace rather than relying on external validation. For example, let's say you make a mistake at work. Instead of succumbing to the knee-jerk reaction of self-criticism, thinking "I'm such a failure," try shifting your inner dialogue. Instead, say to yourself, "I made a mistake, but that's okay. I can learn from this and do better next time." This simple reframing of your thoughts can significantly reduce anxiety and build resilience. Mistakes stop feeling like personal shortcomings and instead they transform into valuable lessons. With practice, this shift in self-talk becomes second nature, making it easier to stay calm and focused, even when life throws unexpected challenges your way. The Stoic secrets lie in embracing mistakes as part of the learning process, not as evidence of incompetence. Over time, this mindset will help you maintain emotional balance and handle adversity with poise. When you become your own best friend rather than your worst critic, you create a more compassionate and supportive inner world. You stop feeling as though you're perpetually falling short of expectations, and instead you nurture a relationship with yourself built on encouragement and understanding. The beauty of practicing self-compassion is that you no longer rely on external validation to feel confident in your abilities. You begin to trust yourself more, knowing that mistakes are simply part of the growth process. This internal shift strengthens your inner peace, helping you weather any storm life throws your way. You'll discover that you are more resilient, more capable, and more at ease with your imperfections. The Stoics understood the power of self-compassion long before modern psychology coined the term. By treating yourself with the same kindness you'd extend to a friend, you create a sense of emotional resilience that not only helps you maintain calm, but also fortifies your spirit for life's inevitable ups and downs. As you practice this Stoic principle, you'll find that you no longer need to be burdened by self-doubt or external opinions. Instead, you'll possess a quiet confidence that allows you to remain steady in the face of adversity. The Stoic secrets remind us that our greatest ally is often the voice inside us, so why not make it one of compassion and encouragement rather than criticism and defeat? Number 11. Be grateful, even when it's hard. Gratitude is a powerful tool, often overlooked, yet it can work wonders in cultivating a sense of calm and emotional resilience, especially in difficult moments. In the face of life's challenges, whether they are frustrations, disappointments, or obstacles, it's easy to become overwhelmed and focus solely on what is going wrong. But the practice of gratitude, as advocated by Stoicism, offers a transformative shift. The Stoics believed that gratitude was not merely a positive emotional response, but an essential practice for achieving peace of mind. As Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." In modern Stoicism, this resonates deeply. By practicing gratitude, we remind ourselves to focus on what is going right, rather than getting bogged down in the negativity around us. When faced with adversity, gratitude enables us to maintain a broader perspective. Instead of sinking into the negative aspects of a trying situation, gratitude allows us to find value and meaning, even in the midst of hardship. It's not about ignoring the pain or discomfort, but rather recognizing that every experience, no matter how difficult, holds a lesson or a gift. The Stoics teach us that focusing on the positive, even when times are tough, helps to cultivate emotional strength. It becomes an anchor, keeping us grounded in the present and preventing us from being consumed by anger or frustration. As Epictetus reminds us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This mindset shift from focusing on the negative to embracing gratitude strengthens our inner peace. Consider a challenging day at work. Perhaps a project didn't go as planned, or you had an uncomfortable interaction with a colleague. It's easy to spiral into frustration and dissatisfaction. But what if, instead of dwelling on the negative, you took a moment to acknowledge the things that went well? Maybe you learned something new, or a colleague lent a helping hand, or perhaps you simply made it through the day. These small moments of gratitude may seem insignificant, but they are the key to transforming your mindset. Over time, this practice of focusing on the positives, however small, shifts your emotional landscape. Instead of walking through life with a sense of frustration or resentment, you begin to view challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. This shift is central to modern Stoicism, which teaches us that our power lies in how we choose to perceive and respond to life's events. Gratitude doesn't just improve your mindset, it has tangible physical benefits as well. Research has shown that regularly practicing gratitude can reduce stress, improve mental health, and even boost immune function. It's as if, by acknowledging and appreciating the good in our lives, we enhance our resilience against the negativity that may come our way. As we make gratitude a consistent practice, it becomes ingrained in our daily life, reshaping the way we see the world. By focusing on what we have rather than what we lack, we build a stronger, more positive foundation for emotional stability. In times of hardship, the practice of gratitude not only boosts our mood, but also strengthens our immune system, showing that the benefits of this practice extend beyond the emotional to the physical realm. In modern life, where stress and anxiety can feel like constant companions, the simple act of practicing gratitude can have profound effects. The Stoics understood that we cannot control every aspect of life, but we can control where we place our focus. When we choose to focus on the good, even during tough times, we invite peace and contentment into our lives. So, take a moment each day to reflect on what you are grateful for, whether big or small. It may be the support of a friend, the warmth of a cup of tea, or even the opportunity to learn from a difficult experience. The more we practice gratitude, the more we train our minds to seek out the positive, creating a more peaceful, contented life. This, in turn, strengthens our emotional resilience, making it easier to face life's challenges with calmness and grace. By choosing gratitude, you are choosing peace, something the Stoics understood well and something we can all embrace in our own modern lives. Number 12. Make calm your superpower. In a world that's constantly demanding more from us, staying calm amidst the chaos isn't just a skill, it's a superpower. Life throws so many challenges our way, each day bringing new surprises, both good and bad. But imagine having the ability to stay calm through it all, not getting swept away by stress, frustration, or anger. That ability to remain composed, no matter what's happening around you, is what makes calmness such a powerful force. And this, my friend, is one of the greatest Stoic secrets. Stoicism teaches that true strength doesn't come from reacting impulsively to the world around us. Instead, it comes from mastering our inner peace regardless of what's happening on the outside. Think about how often we let emotions like frustration, fear, or anger take control of us when something unexpected happens. It's a natural response, but one that often leads to poor decisions and regrets. The Stoics believed that calmness is not just a passive state, but an active choice. By making calmness your default reaction, you give yourself the space to think clearly, act thoughtfully, and approach every situation with a level-headed attitude. Picture yourself in a stressful situation. Maybe something unexpected happens at work, and your first instinct is to panic. You've probably been there before when everything feels like it's spiraling out of control. But what if, instead of immediately reacting with frustration or stress, you chose to pause, take a deep breath, and keep your composure? In that moment of pause, you regain control. Instead of allowing your emotions to dictate your actions, you give yourself the opportunity to think through the problem logically and strategically. This is where the power of calmness comes in. It helps you make decisions based on reason, not emotion. And trust me, people around you will notice. When you remain calm in a stressful situation, others see it as a sign of emotional strength and resilience. It's a reflection of your ability to manage your emotions and rise above circumstances. The Stoics saw calmness as a mark of wisdom. They believed that the wise person isn't someone who suppresses their emotions, but someone who chooses how to respond to them. Think about it. When you let emotions like anger or fear take over, they cloud your judgment. You react impulsively, and more often than not, those reactions are followed by regret. But when calmness is your superpower, you gain the ability to pause, reflect, and respond rationally. allowing you to make decisions that align with your values, rather than your emotions. Now, the big question is, how do you make calmness a natural part of your life? It's not something that happens overnight. Like any skill, it takes practice. And consistency is key. The more you practice staying calm, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you'll start responding to even the most stressful situations with a clear mind, instead of an emotional outburst. And as you continue to build this skill, you'll notice significant improvements in your relationships, decision-making, and overall well-being. Can you remember a time when you reacted impulsively to something, only to regret it afterward? How did it feel? Most likely, you wished you could have responded more thoughtfully, with a clearer mind. That's the essence of calmness as a superpower. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about creating space between what happens to you and how you respond to it. When you make calmness your default reaction, you stop being a slave to your emotions. Instead, you become the master of your inner peace. In the end, embracing calmness doesn't just help you handle stress, it transforms the way you live your life. You'll think more clearly, make better decisions, and most importantly, find peace with yourself no matter what life throws your way. So take a moment and ask yourself, what would your life look like if calmness truly was your superpower? How would you feel if you could handle every challenge with grace and composure? The answer lies within you. To wrap up, the 12 Stoic secrets we've explored today offer timeless guidance on how to cultivate emotional balance and lasting peace. By mastering the art of controlling our reactions, embracing imperfections, forgiving both ourselves and others, and practicing gratitude, we can build a life rooted in serenity and strength. Modern Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control every situation, we always have control over how we respond. These Stoic principles give us the tools to live with intention and purpose, helping us reduce anger and frustration. Incorporating these Stoic secrets into your daily life will empower you to face challenges with calm, resilience, and wisdom. Rather than letting anger take control, you'll navigate life with grace, turning obstacles into opportunities for growth. If you want to continue exploring Stoic philosophy and unlock even more secrets to a peaceful life, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Stoic in Your Life. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos filled with more insights from Stoicism. Remember, the power to transform your life lies in mastering your emotions.